We should never allow the government to decide what is acceptable speech and what is unacceptable speech. We should penalize behaviors, not opinions, and not speech. If you start trying to regulate speech, you start trying to regulate thoughts, you start trying to regulate beliefs rather than behaviors, there's no way that you're not going to abridge the constitutional rights of millions of Americans.
Witness the bizarre, the strange, the unusual male child slave fashions here on the network for the female supreme gender. See the newest styles being witnessed from the upside-down planet of Eth, who continue to pervert the ideals of normalcy. And can see, coming up immediately following the Tales of Tomorrow science fiction series. Here in FMIT, socialist television serving feminist corners at 82.1 high definition. No male child or adult male slave permitted to view without female guardian or master's approval.
Last seen in the city limits wearing a plaid skirt, black shirt, blonde hair. Any contact, hold and discipline immediately. This all points advisory effective immediate. Time out this station, 12:45 p.m.
Ten to 4 Central. Will advise if contact made with child suspect. Is this call for a runaway or possibly is this a lost child? Central.
Unit calling. Lost child is believed to be a possible runaway. Child has disappeared in the past but no apparent reason. Unit calling. Please identify and report if you need additional units to help in search. Over.
Negative. Central. This is Unit 1941. We're still outside the city limits. Please advise on child's guardian address so we can proceed to question guardian about last known location of child. Over.
Affirmative. 1941. Guardian address is 1801 Feminist Avenue Block 25. Guardian has advised they are presently at the home now and will be expecting your arrival shortly. To repeat, if child is located, discipline immediately and then advise guardian of child status. This is the last time they are going to permit this kind of behavior. Child has been reconditioned several times in the past 2 years for similar problems. According to guardian, in past events of this nature the child disappeared suddenly and then reappeared again. No explanation given about this oddity. Over.
Address confirmed. Will advise. Proceeding code 3 to guardian address. No backup needed at this time. Over. Hey Cooper, can you imagine how cold that little boy's legs must be wearing the school uniform they make all the students wear to classes? It's a red flannel plaid skirt with a sash that gives some warmth but not enough, with a wind breeze going straight up his Can't we try thinking positive? These are fragile little boys. They can't do the same things girls can. Sure to have the emergency supplies out for first aid assistance. He might develop frostbite or hypothermia. If he's wet, we'll have to get the clothes off ASAP and wrap him up in some really warm clothes. Those thermal bottles should work really well. He's 4 years old. That SH0ULD cut down on the recovery time once we've found him. Central. This is 1941. We're 10 to 8 on scene. Please advise hospital of medical status of child once we've located him. We are now going inside to contact guardian. over.
Affirmative, 1941. Please advise after investigation of status. Time out this station, 1:20 p.m. FEM 1226, Feminist Grove Precinct.
Good afternoon, madam. We're from the police department. We understand you're the child's guardian. Do you have a photograph of the child so we can be sure to send a copy to each squad car in the precinct?
Yes, of course. I'm not actually the child's mother. He was found by a couple down the street and placed with me as his foster guardian. The story about him is rather odd, to say the least. His name is Jason McRich, and from what I was told by the authorities, he and 2 other men were found near the park pond on the east side of the city about 6 months ago in a strange kind of ship. I don't know what happened to the men who were with him. I assume they were reconditioned and then placed as male slaves. The boy is about 4.5 years old now, and they felt he was young enough that we could retrain him to obey our laws and adhere to our ways of living. I have a video I've saved of him. Let me put it on my video screen. These are the only ones I have since he started training in the elementary school. I never see him much because they keep the students on campus most of the week, then I might see him on the weekends. I feel I was making real progress with him, but now who knows what's going to happen.
We'll make a hard copy of his picture for our dispatcher to send out. What did he usually wear whenever he was either at home or on campus? How long has he been gone whenever the disappearance would happen? Would he appear in the house again somewhere, or someone else find him outside the house?
Yes, most times he'd be there 1 second and then gone the next. That's why this picture shows him a little uncomfortable, because I wouldn't tolerate these kinds of pranks. I don't believe he would run away though. His personality was such that he wouldn't want to leave without me. He was so much like most male children. They can't exist without women.
I see. We'll make a note of that for any follow-ups we do after the boy is found.
Don't get me wrong, I love him, but sometimes, his antics got too much and I couldn't take them anymore. Control is the most important part of the male training program, you know that. Don't you have children too? I'm sure you don't let your male slave just walk all over you and itch me he wants. Like that, he just appeared again. Now, he's gone again. That's the kind of pranks I'm talking about.
To be quite honest, we've never experienced this before. I think we should report this to the military, since there is no technology we know of that could do this to a person. I believe we're dealing with an extraterrestrial. This could be why he's been having problems adjusting to our way of living. He's not from this planet, perhaps.
I find that very hard to believe. I've been caring for the boy now for the past year and he never showed any habits that would make me believe he was not from our world. I do have to admit that when he first came to stay with me, there were moments where he was totally surprised by some things we do without thinking. Like having our male slaves kiss our hands as an obvious sign of respect. It seemed totally alien to him.
Neither of us can explain how the boy just appeared and disappeared. Do you have any explanation for this kind of phenomena other than that he is intellectually gifted?
No, I cannot explain it. My daughter and I are always around him, since he's not able to take care of himself. Let me go and find her and you can ask her yourselves about the things she's seen.
That isn't necessary. We just need as many facts about the child as we can obtain. I'm going to call into Central and let them know the situation. The other officer will remain and take any additional facts you think are relevant to the boy's behavior.
Central. This is 1941. We have contacted the missing child's guardian and have learned some astonishing facts. We feel this case should be handled by the military because of odd phenomena that have been identified by both officers who have witnessed some unexplainable things. Over.
Affirmative, 1941. Please stand by until we can dispatch the proper authorities to your location. Time out this station, 2:15 p.m. FEM 1226.
Central, to advise on status of child. He was seen in the home within the past 5 minutes but disappeared as soon as we saw him. Why or where he is now is unknown at this time. Over.
Affirmative, 1941. If possible, please transmit any photographs you have at present of child's likeness and we'll send an update on the all points advisory as soon as we receive the information from you. Remain on site until further notice. Time out this station, 2:16 p.m. FEM 1226. Attention all squads. Attention all squads. Additional information on previous all points advisory on lost child incident. Officers on scene with additional agents en route. All squads, be advised if any contact made with lost child. Hold in contact Unit 1941 on scene. To repeat, lost child is a male adolescent named Jason McRich, reported last seen wearing a plaid red skirt with a black shirt. Blonde hair, approximate age 4.5 years old. Time out this station, 2:21 p.m., FEM 1226.
I don't know what else I can tell you about this little boy. He's peculiar but loving. Check with the state elementary school where he was attending. They saw the same things I did, unable to relate to other students, but willing to coexist with them. I figured he was learning something in school that gave him the ability to vanish or something like this science technology you've been working with these past few years. I finally got the point where I had to report these odd happenings.
We understand how you feel. We'd like to see his room. Maybe we could find some things that would help identify his interest.
This is his room, officer. I tried to give him as much as we could for the money I make. I admit, it's not much, but he was happy. He had plenty of clothes, dresses, and blouses to choose from, but it seemed like he couldn't relate to our family and how we did things together. I feel even now that he wasn't satisfied, like he wanted to do something or was lost. That's what I felt from being around him. He was lost.
You told me earlier you have a daughter. Can I see her room too? Perhaps there might be some reason why he felt withdrawn from society or even himself because of maybe favoritism.
This is my daughter's room. She's still at school, but if you want to talk with her after she comes home, that would be fine with me.
I don't wish to seem biased about this, but your daughter's room looks so much more bright and colorful than Jason's room did. Since this has 2 bunk beds, I assume he might have been allowed to sleep with his sister sometimes?
Absolutely not. He had his own bedroom. This other bunk bed was for friends who came over and wanted to have a slumber party.
I see. I think that's all I need for now. Let's head back downstairs to the dine. I'll make some additional notes for the report and ask a few others questions before we wrap this whole thing up.
I've been a terrible hostess. You must be hungry. I'll make some coffee and sandwiches for both of you in the kitchen.
That's very kind of you. Really a shame you didn't show that same consideration to your son. Maybe he wouldn't have wanted to get away from this prison.
Not to be difficult, but what did you mean upstairs earlier about my home being a prison? I think I've done everything the state requires of me. I give the boy food and shelter. Being a male child, I give him the required love, I think even more than most give their own male children. We know the most important person in the home is the female, the girl, the woman. Am I wrong to say that?
I'm not a caseworker or social agent, but from what I've seen here, I'm convinced this child was not loved. I'm not endorsing the male at all, but we see many cases like this every day where the child leaves or runs away because there's no love in the home. Only hate, abuse, rejection. Those elements add up to one discouraged, hopelessly despaired child who sees nothing but grief. Would you do that to your own daughter? Remember this, the adult male slave has dealt with these feelings all their childhoods. Now that they're adults, there's only one outcome. This rise in violence by male slaves is a direct result of this kind of treatment.
Central to 1941. Please advise on status of case. Repeat, 1941, check-in.
Excuse me, I have to answer that call. This is 1941 to Central. All pertinent facts calibrated and wrap up about done. Advise military authorities of possible 10-22. Will remain on site until completion of case resolved. Over.
Affirmative, 1941. Please advise of other possible removals from residence if necessary. Advise at your earliest convenience. Time out this station, 6:30 p.m. FEM 1226, Feminist Precinct.
Excuse me, Sergeant. Major Phyllis Carver, 163rd Brigade. My troops are waiting for outcome. Let me know when you can advise on future needs on this case.
Until and if little Jason Mackrich returns from wherever he's gone, we can't allow you to put his life in danger. I do realize you have a daughter, but child cruelty cannot be ignored under any circumstances. At this point, we won't take any further action against you until the child returns or is seen again. However, because of child endangerment, an officer will be stationed here until the boy returns or until a social agent can be sent to wait for the child to show up. Do you understand what that means? We will have to arrest you once little Jason returns and once he can testify for himself.
This is totally ridiculous. Who's your supervisor? Get these thugs out of my house. I can't believe you would do this to a woman. The male is nothing, we are all important in this society. If it hadn't been for us, the male would have disappeared already from history. We don't need them, we only show sympathy for them by keeping them as slaves. We'd never have even done that if the politicians hadn't forced us to accept them in.
Please keep in mind that anything you say can and will be taken down and used as evidence against you in court. We must have compassion for those who are weaker than the female citizen. Otherwise, we make ourselves lower than them. Don't you see that? What you just said to me is all the proof I needed to show how you feel about this little boy. He's nothing. Only you and your daughter count in this household.
Now he's back again. Now you can ask him yourself. Jason, tell them women that you aren't unhappy here. Tell them you are completely satisfied with me and your foster sister. Tell them. Do you hear me? You'd better speak up right now before I paddle you again. Oops. I mean, just tell them, honey, that I would never hurt you.
Just one moment. Miss, don't even try using threats to get him to say how he is being treated. Jason, tell me truthfully, why are you leaving and coming to this house? Who are you and where do you come from?
I'm not from your world. I am considered to be a time traveler. I have been moving between my own world and yours for about 2 years now. I was first found on your world at various times in your world's history. I have met many of your leaders from past centuries and even moved into the future. IT isn't my own choice. I'm forced to exist this way because of an accident on my own planet, Earth. The time machine malfunctioned and now it moves me from place to place. Planet to planet, space, and time don't make sense to me anymore. You could say I am not even my own true age. The machine moves me so fast that it only seems seconds to me, but it could be years to other people. I am scared whenever I come to your world because everything here is the opposite of my own world. Men on Earth, for the most part, are the stronger of men and women. Women on Earth wear dresses. That's why it's so alien to me seeing you wearing what you do, and men and boys have to wear what they do. I'm from a country called Scotland and we wear kilts, which is very similar to your dresses. So it's not a complete shock for me wearing them, but this whole idea of a dominate gender ruling over all males on this planet is really hard to understand.
Don't lie to these police women. I told you before, this is my daughter and my life we're talking about.
That's enough, ma'am. I warned you if you used physical violence, I would have to arrest you. What you and I just saw in his appearance from nowhere cannot be explained by any known physical laws we know. I have to believe him, not just because a child normally won't lie, but the evidence I've just seen. Jason, tell me this. How long will you remain here in this place and time, do you know? Can you say you would be here long enough to make a statement to the social agent who placed you with this woman?
I can't say how long I might be here. The machine is so unpredictable. I might be here an hour, a day, a week. There's no way I can tell. I want to cooperate with you completely, officer. To answer the most important question, how do I feel about being in this home? I might not like the way she treats me, but every person I've met feels the same way about little boys. So she's not really any different than any other person.
This leaves me in a difficult position. If you feel you want to stay with this foster mother and sister, I can respect your decision. But you must realize that I have shown you proof that we aren't all like that. We don't all hate all male children or men. There are some who are much more caring than this woman. I can inquire with the social authorities and find someone else if you want to.
I think I'd like to meet others of your culture, then I could tell my own people how different and alike we really are. I don't want to leave this house now, but if you find someone who would love me as I am, please contact me, officer. As long as I am able to remain here, I will wait for your phone call.
Well then, I will leave you for now until I find out something, little Jason. Be safe and remember, there are many who love all and not just some who love a few.
What do you think you're doing, young man? This isn't a set of monkey bars, these tree branches, and this is a public park. When I get you home, your bottom is going to be redder than your kilt is. I tell you what.
Thanks for watching tonight's movie classic, Tales of Tomorrow's The Unknown Child. This story has been based on true events and gives an overview of the most famous child slave ever to be identified from the Earthlings who we continue hearing about in history. This portion has been sponsored by AIDS Candy. Don't pretend you don't know where this all started from and where we continue to go as a nation. We ignore the facts and continue on without any thoughts of how much an epidemic this whole thing has become.
around the world challenged the powerful, and they bring all of this to every story that breaks.
We've got breaking news, and it's good news.
And touches your heart.
How do you even say thank you? Thank you is not big enough.
I made this.
The images shocked the world. Relentless bombings. Stunned survivors.